Robert Pattinson, starring in the Second Chance breakout role.
You're impossibly strong and rich.
You know who I am.
You mean you're...
Say it out loud.
the vampire Batman?
Are you afraid?
No, I'm not scared. I'm Belle.
I'd say you can bite me, but I know you take it literally, you vampire bat.
Well, you're literally the bane of my existence.
Well, just so you know, I am Dean Jacob.
No!
That's right, I'm Jacob Green.
No! He's a wolf!
Starring Robert Pattinson as the pale-skinned Batman Vampire Knight. And in the breakout most stellar performance, already Oscar-nominated role, is the above-average show as the extremely handsome, well-built, so sexy Bane.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another mini episode of the Above Average Show. And today we've got a special guest, someone that I've known since I think the third or fourth set that I worked on. One of my friends, Paul Barlow. Paul, welcome to the show.
Hi, Joe. Great to be here. I'm excited to, first of all, always get to talk to you and also get to brag about myself, which, as other people know, I never do. Ever.
Never.
Yeah.
And you've got one of the most interesting stories from your first day on set, that it's like a 1 in a billion chance of this happening, which is one of the reasons that I wanted you on the show, which is one of the reasons you also mentioned, hey, I want to be on the show. So we both had the same thing in mind, and it's a set that we both worked on, which I thought was interesting, that I completely forgot about, because you were on one side of the set and I was on the other. But why don't you go ahead and fill us in on your very first project and what you did and what happened?
Okay, so I was losing a sales job, my real sales job, and I looked on Facebook, and I needed to make money, because even if I went out and saw a client in my sales job, I knew I wasn't going to get paid my commission because I was getting canned in a couple weeks. And I saw this thing about being an extra on Facebook, and I thought, oh, this is baloney. They probably want me to pay them money or something. But I called them up, and I had on my suit and tie. I was just sitting in Chick-fil-A's looking at the internet, doing nothing basically during the day instead of being out selling, just dressing the part. And so they said, well, come on in and for a fitting for this movie, The Change Up. And I said, okay. So I went in there, and they said, yeah, you look like you could play a grumpy old lawyer. And I thought, wow, that's great. I look grumpy and old. And so they said, well, we're going to film on Saturdays and Sundays. And I thought, okay, that's perfect, because I still have to pretend I'm doing my job. And so I went in there, and The Change Up, and I thought it was a baseball movie, The Change Up, a left-handed pitcher. But anyway,
that totally makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm standing in this hallway with a bunch of extras. Everybody else is going in. I'm like the second person left, and I thought, God, this is like the 7th grade dance. I'm just standing around doing nothing. Then they bring out this woman who I guess was smiling too much, Sandy Harrison, who's, certainly a good friend of mine since her son William Harrison is a very successful actor. Anyway, I guess, and they took me in, and they put me in this seat at this law table for this scene. And I'm like, okay, this looks pretty good. We're going to be close in. Maybe I'll be seen in this film. I didn't know anything about being an extra, about a principal. I didn't even know who was in a film. And they kept saying, well, Jason is going to sit here. Jason is going to sit here. I'm like, Jason, thinking to myself, Jason who? This scene is a body-switching comedy, and he's messing up this big law firm's merger, as I found out. But anyway, they get ready to film, and they say, bring in the first team. And the first team, here comes Jason Bateman walking in the room, and I'm like, holy cow. And I'm in a seat right next to him, about a foot away from Jason Bateman, and that's my first time ever on a set. But it was crazy because, usually an extra, they even told us, don't look at him, just, kind of be the furniture. But I had to look at him because the boss was on the other side of him, and we had to just look at the boss. And so Jason started improv, and because it's like a body switching comedy, he's handing me a Coke, he's handing me chips, so I had to react. So I was always known in high school for making crazy faces and being an idiot and a clown. And so I just started making faces at, what he was doing and reacting, probably overreacting because I didn't know what I was doing. And the director comes out, David Dobkin, and he goes, "You." And he's pointing to me, and I'm like, oh, my God, now I'm losing an $8 an hour job. I don't know what I'm doing. And he goes, "You're terrific. Keep doing that." And I'm like, okay. And so then I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm going to be seen. And so I made faces and all this stuff, and they kept it all. And, to make a long story short, we worked Saturdays, Sundays, a couple weekends, and then they had this big Thanksgiving, a scene right around Thanksgiving on a Monday or Tuesday, the week of Thanksgiving. And there was hundreds of extras, and I got my wife recruited to play my wife, but I wasn't going to be able to do it because I had my regular job, and we had a big Monday morning meeting, and I was supposed they wanted me on set. They said, "You got to be here. You got to be here," because I was one of the main lawyers in all these scenes. Luckily, my Monday morning meeting got canceled because everybody was already out of town for Thanksgiving, the other salespeople. So I went into work, and that was when, on those 2 days, they ended up the last night. They pointed at 4 of us. They had us all say lines, and so I got lines my very first time out, which was insane, and I didn't even know what it meant, money-wise or anything. And Jonathan McGarity, the AD, points at, he goes, I said to him, "Jonathan, what does this mean as we're signing the SAG contracts and all this stuff, and he goes, "Oh, you're going to get like $750 now, you get $750 later, and then you get money the rest of your life." And now I was known for making my faces, I had even had close-ups where I'm making a face. And I said, "You want to know what reaction is to that?" And he looked at me like he didn't know what I was going to do. And I jumped up and I hugged him. And I said, "Thank you. Thank you so much." And the other funny thing with it, Joe, is my kids had been teasing me because I said, I'm in all these scenes. I'm like close up. I'm always talking to Jason Bateman. Between takes, he's talking to me. And I said, I might get lines in this thing. So my kids, who were just became teenagers, were kidding me every day. "Daddy thinks he's going to get lines. Daddy thinks he's going to get lines." And so the last night when I got my lines, it was late at night, but they were old enough to be home by themselves, and I woke them up. It was late at night, and I said, "Guess who got lines?" And they were all excited, but it was crazy. I mean, there's so many things happened because of that. It was a still probably the best thing I've ever done, even though I've been part-time acting for 10 years since.
And the lines were at the dinner party, right?
Yes, at the dinner party, Ryan Reynolds comes in and kisses Leslie Mann. Ryan Reynolds is, the guy he switched bodies with, and everybody's like, us grumpy old lawyers are like, what is going on? So they had me do 3 different versions. All of us got to do lines. They only kept my line and one other guy's lines, and they kept 2 of my lines, which was amazing.
Yay.
One of them was funny, and the audience laughs, and it's like, is he kissing the wrong woman? But the other versions they had me do was, holy moly, and I don't understand this. But, I mean, it looked good, and I made her face and say the line, and the audience in the theater laughed, and I almost wet myself. But it took all my control not to jump up and say, "That's me." But I did it somehow and kept my seat. But it was cool. Really just an amazing, unbelievable adventure. And the fact that I've been bumped up twice since then in other movies from an extra to a
I was going to say,
is
you got bumped up
miraculous.
in The Watch also. Tell us that story.
Well, in The Watch, it was funny because the day before I was working this other thing. So I called up Rose, and she said, "Yeah, I said, "Do you have anything for tomorrow?" Because now I was unemployed. I was available all the time. But she goes, "Yeah, remember that there was this scene where we wanted you on this town council. Can you still do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be there." So I went, and in the morning, I was on this city council thing for The Watch. Ben Stiller was 2 seats away from me. And during one of the takes, I guess I'm supposed to be like the head of the town council or the mayor or something. I didn't think that much of it. The woman next to me had never been extra work before, and I thought she was like panicking because she realized she was going to be next to Ben Stiller. And I was like, "Just calm down." I said, "You never know. He may ask you a question. Just be ready to say something if he does." And what happens is he turns to me and asks me something, and I had to answer, And so I just, it's supposed to be this really boring town council meeting where nobody's paying attention. And he made up some fact about playgrounds in 1932, and he goes, what do you think about that, Harvey? And so I just made this totally bored face, and I turned to him and I said, whatever. That was it. That was my big line. And he repeated it right away. He goes, whatever, that's your answer, Harvey, whatever. So in my mind, I'm thinking, cool, I think I'm going to get bumped up again here. Still, I'm still a novice. That was maybe the 7th project I've done. Still don't know what the heck I'm doing. I got it. So I got bumped up again. So I was, again, miraculously lucky. You're there 3 hours.
And that's one thing that a lot of people probably don't know, that if you go from background to an upgrade like that to a speaking role, that as soon as you do, if you're booked for, say, 10 days and they bump you up on day 1, they have to pay you the high SAG rate for the remaining 9 days, regardless if you're speaking those days or not. Or if you get bumped up on day 7, it's 4 days. It didn't work that way on this one, I guess, because of when it got settled, that was fine. Yeah. And that was, I don't think I was visible in any of the other scenes or anything. But I didn't know that either. So that's why typically you're right, Joe. If they give you lines, like even if they know they're going to reward, like my friends on Anchorman, when they got Anchorman 2, they gave them the lines the last day because they, it was kind of a present for them for being such good workers and all. Yeah. But you're right. If they would have got bumped up earlier, every day they would have gotten a SAG rate, and so the productions just can't afford that. Yeah. So typically upgrades will happen on that very last day, and they'll plan them for that day.
Right. Like on the change up, there was four or five of us lawyers that were like all these close-in scenes, and one of them was really a lawyer, and they rewarded all of us, gave us all the lines in that party scene, but they just didn't use the other guy's lines. They used 2 of mine and one other person. So it's incredibly lucky. It's a weird profession. So God.
And then those were all a few years ago, but recently you got lines on Venom.
In Venom, what happened was I was just standing there. I didn't even know the movie was Venom when I went on set. I thought, okay, what is this? And then they say, oh, it's a Marvel movie. Oh, it's Venom. And I'm like, cool. I'm going to be an extra in a Marvel movie, because what American male wouldn't want to be in a Marvel movie? And so we're doing this scene, and the guy says, this scene doesn't X-ray. You, sir, what's your name? And he points to me. And I'm like, my name's Paul Barlow. And he goes, here's what I want you to say. And they gave me a line where these kids are getting on a bus after a field trip. And so, we're not getting on the bus. We're in the museum, ending our little tour. And so so he said, say something like, all right, kids, time to get on the bus. So I improv'd, and I said, all right, kids, let's get in a straight line. It's time to get on the bus. And he said, that's perfect. And the director was it Ruben Fleischer, I believe, of Venom?
That sounds right.
Yeah. But anyway, he goes, that's great. And so I did it over and over and over. And on that one, he still thought I wasn't going to get upgraded, because I thought, okay, I'm just where they're like cotton. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I mean, almost immediately after the first take, the PAs came over, took my social security number and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I got upgraded again. Thank you, Santa. This is the greatest Christmas present ever. It was a week before Christmas. And, but then, you wait a year and a half, and the film finally comes out. They cut it. I thought it was kind of a throwaway line. They did cut it from the scene, but I am seen for, if you look really close, half a second out of focus as that scene is ending. And so even though they cut me out of the credits, which hurt because you want that on your resume, and I didn't get to say my line on screen, I still get the residuals. I didn't think I was going to, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a couple months ago, I got a residual check for Venom. So I'm like, cool. So I have 3 films I get money from all the time. So,
I'll have to go back and rewatch and go frame by frame and see if I can spot
check. It's where he gives this little girl a little medal, and they're on this tour. Yeah. And like right after he gives it, she says, hey guys, look. He Rizamet wanders off with the other person to go look at a package he just got. And that was right when I was like, okay, kids, let's get on the bus, get in line. But they cut it. And I kind of knew, by now, because I've done so many things, it was like sort of a throwaway line. But, you're hoping against hope that you get to be seen online and things. So
and you never know.
I'm a tiny, microscopic, maybe one atom particle of the Marvel Universe. And it's funny, the only other things, I've won other parts in movies, actually got on Actors Access, won the movie roles and everything. those I never even got credits for or residuals. The only ones I think I've gotten upgraded, the ones that I've gotten upgraded for is the one I get residuals for. The ones I've actually earned, I've been like completely cut out of the film, not in the credits and no residuals. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! What a weird career.
Huh.
So,
Yeah, it's so strange how all of that works.
yeah, bizarre. Goodness.
And we're gonna take a little bit of a left-hand turn here and switch from movies. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some stuff that you do in your personal life that's very interesting. Because
that's right.
you
You'd be
are
looking
the...
at my windows, huh? So, no, I don't want to talk about that. No, just kidding. Go ahead.
You are the only competitive eater that I know of personally. And after watching Kobayashi race a bear on eating 100 hot dogs on Man vs. Animal, had me fascinated. And then I found out that you were a competitive eater. I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Tell us about the world of competitive eating and what you do to prepare for that.
Well, I finally stopped doing it, but for 10 years I was world ranked in the top 50 in competitive eating. And I mean, compared to like Kobayashi and those guys, I eat, on a good day, I'll eat about a third of what they eat, but I can eat more than the normal human. And so what I used to do is, and all these guys, I mean, Kobayashi trains with the Japanese Olympians, not anymore because he lives in New York, but I've got to talk to him a few times, and of course Joey Chestnut, who's the world champion hot dog eater. But they're all runners, they're all weightlifters, they all have incredible metabolism. Some of them, like the thin Korean lady, Sonia Thomas, the Black Widow, they just have like these freakish metabolisms where they can just eat so much stuff, and then they can eat afterwards. Like I've been in contests with Sonia where afterwards she's like, let's go get ice cream right after she ate 57 or 82 crystals, and I ate about 20 something, which was, for me amazing. But you just go running. I mean, when I was kind of taking it, I never take anything too serious, but when I was kind of trying to at least put up decent amounts of eating, I would go running the whole week. You eat a lot of stuff, and you also drink a lot of liquids to try to stretch your stomach, they say. But I'm nothing like the guys that are just fantastic at it. To me, half of it was they kept me ranked because I was good at promoting the stuff. Like I'd be on radio shows and local TV shows, and I know how to speak in quick sentences, promote the contest, and act like an idiot, which they really want on TV and radio. So.
And then what do you do after you're done with the contest? And you're like completely full. Is there anything that you do to wind down? Is there anything you do to digest? Do you take some fiber pills? Do you just kind of wait it all out until it does its due process? Or?
Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much for me, I even my maximum, like some of the things where I've really had some good totals, I'm just completely full of nothing like the other guys, where you're just like, eat this stuff. Mine sound like something that is humanly possible, my totals. The other guys, they're things like, no, nobody can do that. But those guys are okay too, again, because they have these metabolisms that are just ridiculous. I mean, I ate a 13-pound pizza. I shared it with another guy, the Carnivore Challenge. We were the second guys ever to do it, me and Hall Hunt. And it was funny because he's a Gator, I'm a Seminole, in college. So we're supposed to be mortal enemies, but we work together. And he's a great guy, really smart guy. And we ate this Carnivore Challenge, 13-pound pizza. And we ate later that night, but I mean, some of those guys, I will say this, if they want to go out and party like immediately afterwards, which they usually do because you only get to see them a couple times a year, they will purge, you might call it, afterwards. But they can hold it down. It's just a matter of do they want to make room for more partying or, just let it digest. But like after I ate the 13-pound pizza, we were fine and we ate. And the next day I weighed pretty much the same because my metabolism was just going like nuts. And then I went out for a run and I weighed the same as I did the day before, which is crazy.
So if you eat that for lunch, do you not eat the rest of the day then? Or do you get hungry by dinner time and have another snack? Or
Well, yeah, I mean, almost everybody does. It's amazing. Especially, like I say, what's more amazing is the totals they eat and then they eat later. There's one guy older than me that does it, Rich Lefevre. I swear to God, if they had a 24 marathon of eating, he would win because he just is like always hungry. He'll eat, he was in this crystal hamburger eating contest. He ate 57 or something like that. You know, he finished, because even though that's impossible, he finished about 7th. But
Wow.
but we went to this party afterwards. I was invited. You know, I wasn't in the finals. I was just there as a guest, and they had a buffet. And Joey was full. Joey had just eaten 102 hamburgers, Joey Chestnut. Kobayashi was there. He had eaten about 101. You know, I forget who won that year. They were always back and forth. They were literally full. They were just sitting there full. But everybody else, well, especially Rich. Rich was going up to the buffet and getting more macaroni and pasta. And I'm like, how the heck are you doing this? You know, and drinking. You know, they were drinking. You know, and
Well, they ate enough to absorb the alcohol.
Yeah, it's something. But you know, those guys. It's a great. You know, I got into it just because I saw a contest and it was right in front of me. It was a hot dog eating contest, and I was there with my kids, and I thought, I'm going to jump in that thing. And I finished like 5th, my first contest, and I thought, okay, this is fun. So then I just did it once in a while. I don't know if serious is the word, but I did it by height. I did maybe 7 or 8 contests a year. And now I'll do it maybe once if they're in Atlanta, if it's on a Saturday when I'm not working my regular job, just to see everybody. Get up there and get a pathetic total like 10 hot dogs in 8 minutes, and just wave to the crowd and say hi to my friends and go back home.
And thanks again, Paul, for hanging out with us. It's always been a pleasure talking with you.
Well, thank you, Joe. And like I said, if anybody wants to find out more about my nonsense, just Google me, Paul Barlow Jr., and you'll see my IMDb page come up. Some videos. You know, I also am now a Donald Trump impersonator. That may come up. So, yeah. So basically when people see what I've done on Google, they'll shake their head and they go, what is wrong with that guy?
And as always, we will post links to all of this on our social media. So check out our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, and you'll see Paul's YouTube channel. We'll have photos and everything, links to the IMDb page. But we will have another full-length episode of the Above Average Show for you next week. Stay tuned, guys. Thanks.
Can't wait.
Thank you again to our special guest, Paul Barlow. Huge thank you to Courtney Chen for providing audio clips of her voice acting skills as Belle in the Vampire Batman fomercial. And a special shout out thanks to Addison for all her assistance on this episode. Be sure to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitters, and look us up on Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes. You can also check out another podcast I co-host, The Extraordinary, and some other great media content by Moon Possum Productions at moonpossum.com.
Yeah, thanks. Sort of.